I'll hit record.
Well, yeah, on that note, because we always end up in conversation
It's,
every time this goes great, and then we don't have it recorded. And so,
Yeah,
yes, to start us off, welcome to Look Into the Glass. I am Giselle. I never do intros anymore. We have Sela, and today we have Vincent. How do you say your last name? Hazenboom?
yeah, perfect.
Awesome. I am proud of myself. So
the
Pat on the
American
a
back.
little bit.
education actually showing something. Sorry.
Well, so Vincent is somebody that comes from an addiction as well, and it's a non-substance addiction that um I haven't had very many people on here who've had, backgrounds of non-substance addictions, and me being a person from that, I'm learning to understand that my addiction is just as important as somebody who's had a substance addiction. Because I felt like mine's always been, it's not, it's below everything. I don't have, I can't find the words today. My brain is like not
You
braining.
didn't find it significant enough, or that it was deemed
Yes.
worthy to be considered an addiction when in order to heal and heal it and stop doing it, it's 100% was an addiction.
Did you ever feel that way, Vincent?
Well, the first thing that I wanted to say is you said it's my addiction. But what I've learned is to let go of that label because what I always did was oh, it's my problem. Oh, it's my fault. Oh, it's my this or it's my that. And once I learned to let go of it, I have a better understanding. It's not mine. Nobody gave it to me. It's really well. It's been given, but not in a way like here's the trauma and now you deal with it. It's happened, but then I learned okay. Now I need to let go from it. I need to let go of that trauma or that what happened to me because it's not me. I've been addicted for porn for decades, 20 years. But what I realized is it's not who I am. It's who I'm made to be. Because I was always afraid to walk up to women, afraid to go out, always a fear. And I remember when I went to, yeah, I go a bit off track, but what
You're
I
fine.
realized was, what I realized was through my journey and through trauma work and through working with people, I realized it happened to me because I was so in so much pain. I had a disconnection with my mom, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to cope. So for me, porn was a way for me to replace what I needed because I felt if I watch that, then I feel one or I feel missing love. But through the journey of going through the addiction, I said, but it happened to me, but now I can slowly let it go because every time I said it's my, then I'm gonna connect it to myself, and then it becomes a label, and then I feel like I'm a person with a problem. So that's something that I've noticed, and what you're saying is we always try to label ourselves. Also, when we go to shrink, we get labels. You're this, you're that. But once I remove that, like, okay, I have an addiction, but I can overcome it, then it's different. Then it doesn't feel so heavy anymore. And it's really the lingo because everything what you tell yourself, it goes in your unconscious mind and it gets its own free will and you will believe it eventually. So I had to unlearn what I told myself. I had to unlearn the programming, the conditioning. But in the end, it made me a stronger person. And through that, I can also help other people as well. So that's what I've really learned. Really see things as what they are, but you can always change them.
I really appreciate the way you explain it because I'm still learning how to put it into words. Because I was always told you're too sensitive, or my feelings have never really been processed correctly And so being able to decipher the emotion and understand the emotion is uh, very difficult for me and to put it into words. And so my addiction was talking to older men and on the internet. And I, from the age of 13 until just a little over a year ago. Um, and that was because I
A
had a
year and a half.
disconnect from my father. And that was because I had a disconnect from my father. And so, um, having a it was an outlet, just it's a way to feel loved, a way to just not be me, a way to be a whole different person and everything. But to it took me a long time to understand that it was an addiction, what was going on, because I would leave it and then come back to it and then leave it and then come back to it. And so I didn't think it was an addiction until of maybe 2 years ago and realized, hey, maybe I really am addicted to this because I keep running back to it. Why do I keep running back to it? And trauma, a lot of trauma kept making me run back to it. And I've always put blame on me. Always. I've always been the one, just put the blame on me. It's fine. And so learning to let go and realizing, hey, you don't own that. That's not yours is a very difficult thing to do. And I'm still learning how to do that. So it makes me, and I know that has to be other people too. Other people learning to let go of what isn't their trauma.
Yeah, it's also, well, thank you so much for sharing. It's also a choice because I recently really quit and I always went back because there was always this part of me wanting to go back. But it's also the dopamine hit that I got from it. And you probably got the dopamine as well.
Yes, it's that
So what I
chemical, it's that bartender in the brain.
yeah,
So even though it wasn't a substance abuse, and even though it wasn't substance, there was still your own body was making the substance and making the high.
exactly.
Sorry.
No, no, go, it's
Right, you're
fine.
right. And having other people understand that there is a chemical addiction that we have in the brain, from the dopamine high. We enjoy that. Um,
I think it
out
goes
of
much
curiosity,
further than that. That I think that dopamine is just the very top level. I think there's an iceberg of actual chemicals that kind of that there's you have your surface ones and then you have your lower, deeper ones. And so I think that dopamine is just the very, very tippy tip of the iceberg. There's so much more involved in the non-substance addictions because of the chemicals and the substances are laying there inside of you. You don't have to go out and get it. You don't have to go out to your, you just go out to your phone. You go to your computer. You go to somewhere that's just right there and so accessible. So my personal opinion is the non-substance is something that's really, really hard. I think to me, it seems it's a harder thing because one, people don't want to find it. And also two, that you guys, it's right in front of you all the time. You don't,
Yeah, it is.
it's so accessible.
Yeah, it's really easy to get dopamine hits. If you go on, even though recording this interview and people watch it, they get a small part of dopamine because they consume information, they consume the emotion. So there's always this dopamine hit. But the problem is with addictions and just watching something is it depends because for people, our human nature, we desire to make love or eat, so we are programmed to feel the dopamine hit when we do that. But when it's an overload stimulation, then I'm gonna be like, oh, I need more, I need more, I need more. So your normal dopamine levels are gonna, it's not the same anymore. It's gonna rise and rise and rise, and then you're gonna go for worse and worse and worse. Some people, they go to hardcore sex or to drugs or to drinking, because it's never enough. The mind always wants more because it's hooked on the feeling, the emotions, and what you're going through. And usually it's also numbing. For me, it was really numbing myself, really not feeling the pain, the sadness, the grief, disconnection. So for me, that was really a way to escape. I also did a lot of video gaming because I was so lost. I was confused. I didn't know who I was and what I need to do with my life. So I was trying to look for ways to numb myself. But porn was a big one because I always went back to it. With video games, it became easier to let that go. But porn, it was always a way for me to go back because, boom, you feel it, the urge, you watch and you get the fix, and then it's on repeat. I didn't have any emotional eating, like eating or drinking or drugs. It was always porn.
That mine was the internet. That was always mine. Like I've done alcohol, I've drank alcohol, I've done, other things, but it never gave me the hit that, the internet gave me. That was my fix. And I will say that I wanted to ask you what exactly led you down the road for porn addiction, if you know.
Well, I was really young, but I was always curious. Also with girls, I was always curious about being sexual with them, and I don't know why. I don't know why I was always this curious. But there was always these moments that I knew late in the evening when we had cable TV. I knew at a certain time there was always sex on TV, even though it was MediaCore stuff. I always watched, but I didn't do too much. I was always just watching. But then one day I was, I think, around 12 or 16, and I was at school, and the schoolmate, he said, "Have you ever masturbated?" And I was like, "No, what is that?" So he explained me what, I'm not gonna explain, but he explained me what you're gonna do. And I did it for the first time, and I got an explosion in my head. I was like, whoa, what is this? And then in combination with pornography, I was just done. I never went back to it. I always went back to it. Once I did that, and the feeling and the sensations, there was always this moment that I always wanted to go. So I did that until now. So I was 16 until I'm now become 40 this year, and I made the decision now to really quit. And it always called me, always watching on the TV or burning on the CD porn movies. So I always had a lot of access of that stuff. Magazines, I didn't care. It was always these videos, and then I watched and masturbated and get the fix, and then I felt so miserable afterwards, not understanding why I'm doing it all the time. And then when I went out, I was just leaning against the wall, just looking at women and so afraid to talk to them. And then I went home, and then I did it again. And sometimes it went so bad that my balls were just hurting because of the constantly ejaculation, and always drained, always tired. And I just, it was just on autopilot. So the reason that I did it was really the disconnection with my mom. I got really traumatized with my mom. I did something that I should have, or that I shouldn't do, and she punished me. She really punished me, and I was so young, and I didn't understand what I did wrong, because for me it was just normal. But she got so angry, and she never talked to me about it. Like, "Hey Vincent, what you do is not okay. When you're older, but not now." And she never told me. So that was for me the reason that I went to really into porn. So it was really trauma. I was a lot of trauma. Like I said, it was for me to cope with it. And always I was looking outside of myself to feel loved. I was so afraid to go into a relationship because I felt unworthy. I always felt I need to perform. Always so much anxiety that if I'm gonna be somebody, and she will always leave me. I always had that feeling, but like I said, it was the disconnection with my mom. And it's really interesting how trauma is stored in the body, and a lot of people don't know or overlook. So that's why they go to porn, video games or other things because it's a coping mechanism, and it's okay if
Yes.
you play some video games from time to time or drink some wine or beer. It's okay, but if
Mhm.
it becomes something that you numb yourself, then you need to ask yourself, is this, where is this coming from? Because I didn't go to the roots. I always go on the surface level, like, why am I this, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
But there was nothing wrong with me. I just don't know how to deal with it. But now I learn and become more aware. I understand, okay, this is what happened. Now I know, so I can start that healing process. And then I can move away from the porn, because I was always fighting pornography. Always like, I don't want to watch, I want to this. And it's always this battle with myself. But then I realized I need to do something else. I need to go to the gym. I need to go salsa dancing. I need to work on my business or work on this. And then I've learned I get dopamine hits from that. And then the porn slowly fades away. But like you said, it takes time. It's not like you're going to quit something and then you're going to be healed a couple of days. It takes a lot of work and a lot of time for you to function again. And yeah, the temptation will always be there. But then I
Oh
ask
yeah.
myself, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it to go back? And no, I've been doing it for decades. So no more.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people end up feeling shamed, like when they find themselves in
Yeah.
addiction, and they end up feeling ashamed because they are drawn back to it. And people, we as humans, have a tendency of making people feel ashamed because they went back to it on multiple accounts. It is, and something that we firmly believe in is it's a part of a journey. We have sometimes are going to run back to it to get ourselves through it, if that makes sense. We sometimes we have to go back to it to get ourselves through it, and it brings us to more of a better recognition to understand what's really going on with us. We're trying to numb ourselves, but we're knowing, hey, this is not okay. This is not healthy for me. And then it's making us go deeper within ourselves to understand why we're running back to it. And that, well, at least for me, that's what happened was was starting to gain a better understanding of why I kept running back to it, why this was such a dopamine hit for me, why it was a a need for me at this point. And, and I uncovered a lot of truths, a lot of trauma that I buried so far deep. I was like, I'm not wanting to pull that out of the closet. That doesn't sound right. And, but it wasn't for me to say, no, I don't want this. It was for me to go, yeah, no, this is really happening. And this really did happen to you. And I feel that we need to stop putting shame and seeing shame as
Oh,
something.
I cannot hear what you say. You're cutting off.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me now?
We have storm. Yeah, she's been having difficulties all day. Bit technical difficulties all day. We've got pop-up storms. Wonderful Texas.
Oh,
You never know what's in store for you in Texas.
got it.
Can you hear me now on this?
Yeah,
I can.
I can.
Okay. I just was saying that, us being ashamed for what we're going through, I think we don't, if more that we shame ourselves, the more likely we're going to continue to run back to it and not find the truth in why we're doing it.
I have to agree with you on that.
Yeah, I like to say something about shame and what I felt, because this is something that's important, especially for men. Because I remember once I felt really ashamed of being a man. I felt really ashamed of that I'm doing porn, because I was really afraid to talk to women, to interact with them, to take them out on date or having sex with them, because I felt ashamed as being a man, because I always went back to porn. And it was so bad. I was felt like, okay, so I'm not man enough to overcome this. So I always went to, well, I know don't need a girlfriend. I don't care. But deep down inside, I knew I wanted a girlfriend. But I always made these excuses like, no, better not, and I don't have time. And then I felt so ashamed, like, why am I doing this? Why do I keep sabotaging myself? And I got so angry and so upset. And then I got a wake-up call in 2017 that really transformed my life. I went to the doctor. Well, let me start again. I got the wake-up call, and it was during when I was playing a video game. And I was playing, and then a voice told me, Vincent, you need to get help. And I was in shock. I was, huh? Where is this coming from? But I knew deep in my heart that I need to do something about this. So the next couple of days I went to my parents and I told them I need to get help. And they were both in shock. They looked at me like, huh? What? You need what? And I said, yeah, I really need to get help. So then I went to see the doctor and I explained my situation. And I said, I always feel this anxiety everywhere I go. If I go to the grocery store, if I want to put gas in my car, I always feel this anxiety. And I don't know why. Okay, he said, I'm going to put you into therapy. I was like, oh no. So now I'm going to go this road. I'm going to be this labeled guy with problems, and now I need to see therapists. I was so ashamed and so afraid to go. But the wake-up call said I really need to go, so I went. And I remember I went in this room, this white room, and I was sitting on a chair, and in front of me there was this lady, and she started talking to me, and she said, Vincent, can you tell me something about your life? And I looked at her and I just broke down. I started to cry and I said, I have no life. I'm not doing anything. I feel ashamed. I playing video games all day. I'm watching porn every single day. I have nothing. And I was just so crawled up in the chair and so afraid and scared. And she said, well, don't worry. Everything is going to be okay. I'm not going to give you meds. And I dodged the bullet here. But I'm going to put you into group therapy. And I felt, okay, let's do it. So I went to group therapy. And there everything started to change. I started to understand the backpack that I was carrying with me for years, the traumas, why I went through this. But what I always told myself, and that was always strange, they never asked me if I had an addiction. The therapist never asked. The doctor never asked. The group therapist never asked. And this is something that we really need to put more focus on, like you have with your podcast, the looking glass. Because if they knew or if they talked to me sooner about the addiction, they could have figured out what's happening. And they never did. I had to figure out by myself for years and years and years. But again, everything happens for a reason. So, but to point that out, if they knew sooner, then I would be faster out of the condition. But anyway, fast forward, I just started into self-development. I became addicted to self-development. I started reading books, education. So that became my new addiction, but a healthy one.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized I'm consuming. I'm always consuming information, but I'm not taking any action. But what I did with the book reading, with the coaching, the courses, was I was building this wall. I believed if I learn so much, nobody can hurt me. Nobody can touch me. I know everything. My ego was super, super high. And I thought I knew it all. So in 2017, I moved to Mexico. So again, I lived in fear most of my life. I didn't go out and didn't talk to people. And then in 2017, I went to Mexico. So a lot of things can happen fast. So I went to Mexico to start a fast food restaurant because I've met a Mexican there. I moved everything, or I sold all my stuff and I moved there. One-way ticket. And 1 year later, I got bankrupt. I banked nothing, no more money. I think I had 300 euros left. I went there with 30K and had 300 euros left. And I felt so ashamed again. I felt like I failed because I had this vision, I had this goal that I wanted to make this work and it didn't work out. And I remember my ex-girlfriend, she said, you have no money, you bankrupt. Oh, no, it's going to be fine. I was just laughing it away. I I didn't want to think about it. But then one night I just broke down and I called my mom and I said, I have nothing. I have no money. I need to come back. So again, there was always this shame building because I tried something, I failed. I wanted to do something, it didn't work out. There was always this pile of shaming. So then I sold everything in Mexico. I went back to the Netherlands and then I said, okay, now what? What should I do now? So I started a lot of things, online businesses and stuff like that. But what for me was the wake-up call was the reflection, because I was blaming people. I was being angry at everybody. But then I said, okay, I'm going to put a mirror in front of myself. And there I saw, okay, it was my own fault because I could have said no to him because things didn't go well. And I didn't say anything. I kept my mouth shut. Also with my ex-girlfriend, we had problems, traumas, dramas. It was so bad. She was also really traumatized like me. So when you're traumatized, you attract traumatic people. It's really,
Yes, you do.
it's how it's
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah.
And I said, I need to change. I cannot do this anymore. I cannot live a life like this. So then I went into the self-development. But this time it was different because I was more aware of myself, more aware of what's happening, and more aware of making decisions. And yeah, the last 5 years was still difficult, but I created a lot of awareness and I stopped blaming people. I stopped blaming myself. I was always angry because of the things that I did or the decisions making. But I learned everything happens for a reason because it made me who I am today. It made me more aware and grow. And plus, about the labeling thing, I'm also highly sensitive and an empath, and that can be really challenging in life. And again, once I let go of that label, I am an empath, I am highly sensitive, I felt it let go because I remember when I went somewhere, oh, I cannot do this because I'm highly sensitive. Oh, I cannot drive on the freeway because there's too much people. I'm too highly sensitive. But once I stopped doing that, I said, okay, I'm highly sensitive, but I will make it work. I'm gonna protect myself. It's not what I feel. And then everything started to change. So I learned a lot. It was a lot of trial and error and going on my face and getting up and trying something new, get out of my comfort zone, talking to women on the street, do the Wim Hof. It's funny because first I was so afraid, so terrified to do things, and now I go alone on traveling. I do things that most people don't do. So you can change really fast, but you have to make a decision. What do you really want in life? Do you want to stay in this victim mentality and say, oh, I cannot do it, and I've been hurt, and I'm weak? Or you can say, well, this happened, but I can make a change. I can really do something with my life. And it will not happen overnight because I had a lot of limiting beliefs, negative. I was always negative. But once I started to
It's all
change
about
that,
the
and
unlearning, isn't it?
it's the unlearning, yeah. Because we are
Yeah.
conditioned,
Yeah.
labeled. But once you unlearn and change your lingo, your self-talk, your life will become magic. It transforms everything.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. I remember, so I've always been an extreme negative self-talker, extreme negative self-talker. And through the years of me correcting that self-negative inner dialogue and stuff, I remember I was just sitting there and I was talking to Giselle, and she does a lot of our technical stuff. So when you see stuff up there, it's Giselle, it's not me. But yeah, but I was sitting there and I was like kind of like feeling hard on myself. But then there was another voice that stepped in and was like, "No, Sila, you provide great moral support." And that actually came out, and I was so shocked because, like you said, you can change. And with the work of the no, stop negative talking myself, I am worthy. There are, I may not be doing these certain things, but I am doing other things, and that they are measurable. And when I had that moment, I'm just tell it wasn't that long ago. It really wasn't. It was only maybe a month ago that person actually developed inside there, that because I have multiple personalities inside there. And they all talk to each other. But and so like it was that finally I built a character in there that stood up for me. And I was so shocked that I was like, wow, I actually do care about myself. You know?
Also that, yeah, I didn't feel worthy, I didn't feel loved. And I remember when I was in a course and the practitioner said, you need to learn to love yourself. And I said to him, huh? How do I even
Mhm.
do that? Self-love, love myself. But what I realized was how I do love myself is first setting boundaries. I didn't say set any boundaries. Saying no when I want to say no. I always said yes to everything, if it was work or things, because I felt if I said no, they would get angry. If I said
Mhm.
no, then I feel put resistance and then we're gonna have a conflict. So I wanted to avoid all of this. So I said yes to everything. But now I say no when I don't want to do it. It's like no, I'm not gonna do it. I don't care how angry or upset you are because it's not it's not your, or it's your own energy. It's your own. I don't have to take this gift, what you want to try to give me. It's yours. Yeah, I don't need it. Also, yeah, the boundary setting, saying no, and also that's really important is to do the things that you care about. Like I like to go to the gym. I like to go to salsa dancing. That's also taking care of myself. I go for a massage or a spa. That's also self-love. And that's so important. But what you really see in society today is really we're so afraid to say no, to have this backbone and say, I'm not gonna do it. I don't care. And because we're afraid. We're afraid to have conflicts because everybody's traumatized. Everybody has some kind of trauma. If it was in your early age or when you're adult, people think you cannot be traumatized when you're adult. Well, yeah, you can.
Mhm.
And that's so important to become aware. Awareness is so key. It's really interesting. If so much shit happens in your life, you need to ask yourself, where is this coming from? Am I doing this or am I creating this? So it's really so important. That's what I've learned through all my years of being in the self-development is awareness. Because once you become aware, like she said, then you can pinpoint what's going on. Then you go deeper into the roots. Then you can figure out what's happening to me. So yeah, the self-love, it's so important. Really taking care of yourself because no one else will take care of yourself but you. And even though if you have a partner, still you need to take care of yourself. You cannot expect
Yes.
everybody to do it for you. You need to take charge of your own life. And yeah, it will be hard because you also need to let go of people that you care about. If they're toxic or negative, you need to ask yourself, do I want to stay in this relationship or do I need to step away from this person? And yeah, it's hurtful and it's sad, but you need to do it because your life is it's gonna become harder. You're gonna attract more of those people. So yeah, self-love is really important, but it's not self-love of external, but really from within.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I love that we bring up self-love because last week we were supposed to record, and I uh, I was having a very rough day. Postpartum is very very difficult. It's not because you're not focused on taking care of yourself anymore. You're focused on taking care of a little something that can't take care of itself. And I'm just sitting there and I'm getting very overwhelmed. I have to do the podcast, and I'm starting to just freak out and I was really starting to freak out because I didn't want anybody from that day that we needed to record to be upset with me because I needed just a day for me. And, I know that we already had rescheduled a couple times and I was like, I really don't want him to think that, we're deflecting or anything like that. It's like, I was just like, I just really need a day. And, and then my mom was like, we have a mental health podcast. There's we're going to need mental health days. People are going to understand that. And, and I agree, we really do. And, your response to me was, no, take care of yourself. That released so much pressure that was all sitting on my chest. And I'm still learning to know that I don't need to please everybody around me.
Nope.
I just need to take care of me. And breaking the people pleaser within us is so
Hard.
difficult
Oh
because
my God.
Yeah, I know.
it's your
Especially
Yeah.
when you're
constantly,
sensitive and an empath, like all three of us. When you're
yes.
sensitive and empath and you feel that pushback, like Vincent was saying, that pushback when you say no, you can't help but feel it. Like no
Yeah.
matter how hard they try to hide it, we still feel it. We still sense it, and then we feel guilty. And then we start beating up on ourselves, and then we're like, oh, now they're gonna be mad at me. And yes, the people pleasing is absolutely something very difficult to unlearn.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a protection mechanism, is to protect yourself from, it's like you said, it's what you said. You feel so much fear or so much anxiety or stuff that's going through your body, and then somebody else can unleash it on you. You feel worse. You feel it so much more intense. So we try to avoid, or we try to look for ways to suss the person. But in the end, I said to myself, I had the same. I wanted to help everybody. And I said, I need to let go of that because I cannot help everybody. People need to help themselves. I
Yes.
cannot babysit for them. I cannot do it for them because then they will not learn and they can become lazy and they think, that, oh, everybody's going to help me so I can lean back and do nothing. It doesn't work like that. So I set boundaries like, okay, if people don't want to work with me, that's fine. If people don't want to be on my podcast, that's fine. And yeah, in the beginning it was hard because I felt, oof, this this knife in my chest, like,
Rejection.
oof. So this hurts, but once I do more and more, I stop caring because what I've learned and what I always see is if something happens, I'm the only one that's beating myself up. I'm the only one that's worrying and, oh, what of this and what is it? And the other person just goes on
They're
with his
going on
life.
about their damn day, not giving two shits about it. They don't even think twice about it.
Exactly.
Here we are.
Exactly.
Here we
And I
are,
said,
literally just drowning ourselves in deep, dark thoughts. Like,
exactly.
oh, yeah.
And it just gets worse. Every time the longer you sit
Yeah.
on it, the worse it gets. You know,
Yeah.
Hmm.
one thing I know that there's a lot of men out there who are sensitive and empaths. And
Absolutely.
I, one thing that has really intrigued me about you is that you talk about toxic masculinity and how that comes into play because I know for a fact men are conditioned to be a certain way. You're not allowed to have feelings. You're not allowed to cry. Like there's so many different ways to go about it. And I was curious, how has that affected you being a sensitive, empathic person?
Well, I really learned after the Mexico trip. Once I got more aware and going to self development, but I didn't know and understand what's happening. And I remember I was overloaded. I From time to time I feel the world on my shoulders, and I didn't understand why. Why am I feeling like this? So then I posted on Facebook and I said I'm going through the journey and I always feel upset and angry and I don't know why. And then a girl, she was on my Facebook and she said, "You're an empath." Huh? Wait, what? So I went on the internet and I checked, okay, what is an empath? And then I stepped reading. It's like, oh, so this is me, check, this is me, yeah, 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 yeah. So I went through all these boxes and then I learned highly sensitive. And then again, oh yeah, this, yeah, yeah, this is me, yeah, I feel this, yeah. And there I started to understand, like, oh, so this is what's going on. So this is why I feel these emotions. Even though when I talk to people, sometimes I walk away angry, and I don't know why, but it's
You have
because
no
I
idea.
consume their energy, or when they're angry, because you're an antenna and you pick everything up. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I learned. But with the toxic masculinity and also with the feminine, like we discussed with the people pleaser, I've been a massive people pleaser. I tried to please everybody because I was afraid for conflict. I rather avoid or please, or I rather avoided it and please people than I stand my ground and say, okay, we're gonna talk about this and we're gonna figure it out. Because again, I felt so much stress and anxiety. But then I've been lonely for years and years and years, so I wanted to get better with women. So I hired a dating coach, and we started working with, or I started working with him. And then he said, "You're so much in your femininity," and I was like, Wait, what?" He said, "You need to be more in your masculine." And I didn't understand what he meant. It was like, how the hell do I do that? Being more in my masculine. And then he explained, you need to do things, but don't apologize, because I was apologizing for everything. If I did something, oh, sorry, sorry, sorry. He said, you need to stop apologizing. You need to do what feels right for you and do it. If I, for example, you have a cup on your table and you don't want to put it there, you put it on the other table. I was always like, oh, is this okay if I put it here? Yeah, yeah, there's nobody, no, okay. So I was always trying to do this easy and safe, but then I learned I need to be in my masculine and my feminine, because a lot of people think they only have the masculine for men and feminine for women, but women also have
We have
masculine.
both.
It's everybody, we have both.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I had to learn to use them both. Yeah, I need to take masculine action, but also I need to be my feminine. If a girl is talking with me, I need to listen. I need to take care of her. I need to connect with her. But when I'm done talking with her, I need to do work on my podcast or do something else. Then I'm back in my masculine. So I need to switch to the masculine and the feminine. But it didn't make sense because I was so integrated in the feminine. But now I learned to have this balance with the masculine and the feminine. And a lot of people are overlooking that you can do the dance with both. I like to say what I've learned is the masculine is taking action and the feminine is love. It's really the connection and opening up to people and stuff like that. So that's
It's
what
a
I
great way
really
to
learned
explain that.
about the masculine and the feminine. Sorry, what?
I said that's a really great way of explaining it for people that have like you don't that have a hard time understanding, because there's a lot of people that have a hard time understanding, and that's a great way of explaining it.
Yeah, it's also training, because I had to learn to be more in my masculine. I need to go out and do the things that I'm afraid of, or with business wise, I need to get out of my comfort zone and try new things. That's masculine action. That's something masculine is really power. It's really moving forward. And people think, oh, I only need to be in the masculine, so then I'm strong. Like you said, I'm strong. I need to be stoic. I need to be tough. And I always felt that too. But because I'm highly sensitive, yeah, I cannot help it to cry. And I never felt ashamed to cry. It's an outlet. A lot of men are like, I'm not allowed to cry because then I'm weak. You need to cry. You're human, you have emotions. So if you want to cry, then cry. If you want to sit alone in your room and cry, do it, because it releases. It's good for you, it's healthy. But we've been conditioned that, like
Cleansing.
you said, we're not allowed to cry. And it's so ridiculous. Like, why not? Because then you're
Hmm.
weak. You're more powerful if you just cry. And especially with somebody that you care about. Like, I need to talk to you about something and I feel so sad and I just want to cry. And they will understand because, yeah, they cry too. Everybody cries and it's healthy. But it's so sad that so many men just crumble under the pressure of being, I need to be strong, I need to be tough, I'm not allowed to show emotion, because you dig a grave. It's so toxic and bad. And I did it for decades, for years, just every emotions, everything that I felt through, just numbing it down, putting it away until I broke down and started to cry. And I said, I need to stop doing this. I need to stop overloading myself with so much stress and fear and anxiety and pain and grief. I need to let it out. Just cry if I wanted to cry. So just cry. Just cry if you want to cry. There's no shame if you want to cry. It's normal. It's human. So cry.
You know what's really funny is we come from a family of a majority of women. Um, but a
We're not supposed
majority
to
of
cry
women
either.
in their masculinity that would crying, it was weakness. If you cried, then it was weakness. So we grew her Giselle and I both grew up with the same masculinity type of thing, even though we were females. It's kind of, but we completely understand the well, that's just weakness. If you cry, then you can't show them that you're weak and this and that. And here we are, like, okay, doing everything we can to button it up, and it was absolutely something that I had passed down. It was done to me, so therefore I was like, oh, okay, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. And it wasn't until later on, through the journey that I finally was like, yeah, that was really jacked. you know?
Yeah, there was a lot of situations where I was feeling a certain way about something that happened because I grew up in a very toxic household.
Yeah.
I would feel a certain way and I would bring it up, and it's you're being too sensitive. If a joke was made that I absolutely did not find funny, it hurt my feelings. It was you're being too sensitive. It was just a
Mm-hmm.
joke. And those are things, and then I want to cry over, or I am crying over, and it's why are you crying? Let me give you a reason to cry. So those are the things that, that have been passed down that have, I'm very much like, no, I'm not going to be that way. I'm breaking that because those are generational traumas that we are passing down to our children. And I firmly believe that we should be able to show our kids that, hey, it's okay to cry. It's okay to have emotions. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be upset. You're allowed to laugh. You're allowed to cry. Those are normal emotions. It's just about how to regulate them. And I think that's where we've lost is we our families, our generations of families and everything stopped regulating emotions and started telling us, how to control them and not what to feel and what not to feel.
Yeah, 100%. And what I wanted to add is what came to me is also men are logical, so we think a lot, and women they're emotional, so women cry more than men. So it's now being reversed. Like men need to be women and women need to be men, but it doesn't work like that because then there's conflict, then there's problems also in a relationship. You see a lot of men being in this feminine side, they're being pushed in this feminine, and women are being pushed in the masculine because men are not taking charge. Men are not taking action. They're just like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. And women are like, when is he gonna do something? Are we gonna do
We're
something or
controlling.
not? And she always needs to ask, like, hey, what are we gonna do? He needs to say, okay, Sarah, tonight we're gonna go to this place that make this restaurant, and we're gonna have dinner. Or I'm just going for a walk, and if you want to come with me, that's fine. Or I'm gonna go to the gym. I will see you at 5. Like that's masculine. It's like I'm not gonna ask you for permission to do something, but women always need to ask, like, oh yeah, yeah, do I need to? Yeah, yeah. So it's always being reversed now.
Hmm.
So I want to try to get men back into the masculine, but also being in their feminine. You need to have the both. It's like it's not
It's a good
healthy.
balance. It's good
Yeah,
to have a balance.
yeah,
As a woman learning to be more in her feminine and less in her masculinity, it's we have to learn how to not have the control. We aim to control everything, and if it's not done a way that we precisely want it, we have to learn to not take over. And, learn to go, hey, you know what? They made that decision. We're okay with that. We're just going to accept it. That it's not that harsh. Like knowing where to eat or what's for dinner, or hey, at least they made the effort to clean. And they made that. They're the ones that stepped up and did it without being asked to. There's a lot of situations where I find myself trying to control every aspect I possibly can. And over the years, I have slowly starting letting go and go stepping back because it's so stressful on the body. The nervous system starts to spasm and starts to freak out because it's like, okay, I don't have control of this. What am I going to do about it? Sorry, my nose itches.
yeah.
People are
For me, it
mowing.
was the same. You know what's interesting? That even though you're really far away, I hear the similar things that I've been doing. Always control. I want to go have control about everything, just my life, people, the things that I did. But it was for me to control the frame. If I could control it, then I know what I can do. Then I know what's going to happen. So for me, letting go was so difficult. And a really good book is, I think, is The Power of Letting Go, and it's by Dr. Stephen Hawkins, not the other Hawkins, but Dr. R. Hawkins, I think. But that book transformed my life because I was like always in control, always wanted to have everything just perfect. But once I listened to that book, I transformed. I really started to let go more, and I'm more at peace. Yeah, it was hard. It was really hard to let go of things, especially in the dating life. It's really challenging, but once you do it step by step and step by step, it becomes natural. And like you said, the nervous system will adapt, your body will adapt, you feel better, and you feel less stressed. And yeah, that's so powerful, letting go.
It truly is.
So you've mentioned your podcast multiple times, but you have not mentioned your podcast's name.
No, because to be honest, I'm gonna take a break from my podcast. Oh yeah,
Oh, okay.
it
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
because I can share about my podcast. The podcast is called How to Heart Show, and what I do with this podcast, I help men to reconnect with the heart. Because what, again, with the dating coach, I learned to live from the heart is the best way to live.
Yes.
Because if you learn from there, you don't need external validation from people. You don't need people to tell you what you need to do. You do from your heart. You do the things from love within. And that's what I wanted to do. But then I realized podcasting is difficult. Like you said, it's stressful. It's, you need to sit here, talk with your guests. I did a lot of work in the beginning, a lot of investing, and I've been doing it for 2 years, and I didn't have any return of investment. So I said, okay, I need to do something different, or I'm gonna keep going with my podcast, or I'm gonna pivot into something else. So I made a decision into coach men. So I'm now gonna be starting coaching men, and I'm gonna build a course for men with helping to quit pornography, because it's a
Powerful.
pandemic.
Yes.
It's yeah, it's shocking. The youngest person that I talked to was, or what I've seen, was 8 years old. This is ridiculous. A
Yeah.
child that's addicted to porn.
Hmm.
I said, I need to do something about this. I'm gonna not quit the podcast, because podcasting is my
Yeah.
passion, but I'm
Uh,
gonna park it there, and I'm gonna be focused on my coaching and the course. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna be now focusing on helping men quit pornography, because I've been doing it for decades. I've been through it. I learn it. I know it from as much as I know about it. So that's what I'm gonna do.
you
But
can
again,
help
the
those
podcasting, it's,
teenagers before they
yeah,
turn
teens.
into adults, because we actually have an
I was
episode,
actually
hypersexuality in youth, and was we were talking about our own experiences. That one episode has over tripled all of our other episodes
Oh
in
wow,
streams. Yeah, so there
nice.
is a pandemic. There's an
It
epidemic
is.
going on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When when
there's a
that when that Sorry, go ahead.
There is somebody that I want to recommend to you. He was a previous guest of ours and somebody that I would love to have back on. His name is Chris Rogers, and he also is he's certified in the porn addiction recovery, but he focuses
Hmm.
on adolescents and
Hmm.
Okay.
helping parents, guide their children through it and everything. If you ever get a chance, I can even send you his information.
Yeah, that would be
He
good.
Oh, I think that you guys would work really
Seems
well
like a
together. I think
Yeah.
that something is, you know, we do this to work together to help fight these, this pandemic of addictions, you know, of learning to self-love ourselves and everything in that. And, I love building a community. And if I can do that, to help somebody else out there, I absolutely will.
Yeah, for sure. And I really appreciate that you want to connect me with him. And the more people I know, it's better. And also, that's also what I had to learn, to let people in and let them help me. I always wanted to do this lone
right?
wolf. I wanted to do everything by myself, but I learned
But
I
that's
can't.
another survival mechanism that we had to
Yep.
unlearn. That's
Control.
another control. Exactly. It's another survival mechanism that we have to
Yep.
unlearn and that's really what it is it's the an unlearning of all the shit that life has thrown at us and all the toxicities that happen from every direction, from school, from our parents, from friends to strangers on the street. Literally, the toxicity comes in from everywhere. And I really, really, really want to applaud you on making that decision that you made, because that's not an easy decision. I understand podcasting. Once you start it, like it does become it's its own little addiction, but in a healthy way because it helps us. But for
Yeah.
you to make that decision and say, "Hey, no, that I'm going to take the hard and I'm going to do this," I just want to from somebody out on the outside, I just want to applaud you on that, on making that change, and I really, 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 really hope that it goes well for you. I'm sure it will.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Yeah, it was a hard decision, but I had twice that it came up to me, and I seen from other people that do podcasting and then they also go into coaching because it's hard to make a really good income with podcasting because you stop doing the intro. I had to stop to do the intro because people stop watching. So I was trying to make content for them so they can see me, and I cannot do this. I cannot just work my ass off just to please them and so they can watch. And again, they're gonna live on their life, and I need to start investing in all of this. So I said, okay, now I get it twice. This message that I need to help men coaching. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do this. I can really help more with the podcasting. It's free. Everybody can listen, but it doesn't reach the audience, the target audience. So I said, okay,
Mhm.
I'm gonna focus on this. It's so needed. I see so many men struggling, also in shame because they're really ashamed. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to reach out to people. And I said, okay, I'm gonna be this man, this person to open up because I've been there. I've been addicted for so long, and I know I can help them. I know deep in my heart that I can at least give them some advice or help them through. And through my course, and I don't say I hope, I know. It's always the
Mhm.
self-talk. That's how you're gonna
Right?
manifest. That's how you're gonna create. I know I'm gonna help men
Mhm.
with this. I know I'm gonna
You
make a
absolutely are.
change. I'm gonna change their life. And that's what you
You
have
are
to learn to build
absolutely
as
going to
well.
help.
Confidence in yourself that you can do this and make a change. And I know for you guys was probably also hard in the beginning to be in front of the camera talking about
It
what's
still
happening, but
is.
it still is. But once you do it more and more and more, you're gonna feel the confidence. You're not being judged. You're not being laughed at, and you know, okay, it's safe to talk about this. And the world is changing. People are changing. People are going to become more aware. They're more open to talk about it. So it becomes easier. But in the end, it's your own journey. It's your own learning curve with this. When you do the interviews, I learn from you guys, and you learn from me. So it's a win-win
Yes.
for both. And that's how we grow together. Not just, oh, I'm gonna do this podcast and then I'm gonna be rich. That was what I believed. That's what was my goal. But then I switched to how can I help people? How can I help men create a better life? And that's how the podcast got birthed. But then I see, okay, I see men struggling every single day because with addiction, and I've been there. So yeah, I know I'm doing the right thing, and yeah, I will
Well,
help a
you're
lot
going to
of
have
men doing
to
it.
make sure you let us know what these courses are when you get all the information together so
Yeah,
that we can put that out there get that
yeah,
out there.
sure. That will be
And then
amazing.
have you
Thank
come
you.
back on and talk about it.
Yeah, we would love to have you come back on and talk about it.
Yeah, the thing is, I promised you guys I would have you on this show, so I will do that. So we're recording, and it's going to be live. So I don't use what is it, Riverside. I used it in the past, but I switched to Riverside or to StreamYard because there
Uh-huh.
you
Yeah.
can go live, and
Yeah.
they put it on shows or on your social media. So it still will be live, but I'm not gonna put it on social media like, hey guys, I had this interview with these two lovely ladies, and that's it. But really feel I want to focus on the porn, and because
Yes.
it's so needed.
Yeah, it
So
absolutely is needed, and you're going to help so many people with that.
For
And
sure.
I'm just wow, I love it. So
is
you're
there
supposed
any
to,
socials that you would like to share with the audience to follow you on or anything like
Yeah, for
that?
sure. Yeah, you can follow me on social media. I'm a little bit quiet on the social media part because I'm really focusing on the building the course, interviewing men, and I'm not really focused on social media right now. But once I have everything done with that, and then I'm gonna be more on social media. But how they can follow me, just my name, Vincent Hazenboom, or the How to Heart show from the podcast. You can also see my interviews there, and also that I have so many good interviews with my guests, and they're not being seen. And I said, this I feel so sad. Put so much time and effort in this. Also my guests, and I said I need to change this. Once I create more income, I can hire somebody with my podcast, and I have more range. People will really see my content. It's not really about the money, but it's so sad that you work so hard and nobody cares, or they're not even care to just watch the small introductions. Like, man, people are so messed up. Their attention span is so short that they don't
yeah.
even have the time to watch some of your videos, or they need to be hooked right away. And I said, I'm done doing this for now,
Mhm.
and focus what really actually matters. And also, again, I got these downloads. I have to do
Yeah,
this. I
you
have to
get these
focus on
downloads.
this.
You
I
got
have
to
to help
follow those
men.
downloads. You got to follow
You need to do
what
it.
you're being
You need to
told
do it.
that, yeah, you absolutely, we understand here and looking through the glass of when you're being directed and led into something, that's where you
Yeah,
belong. And then that's where you're being called. And I think that you're going to do some magical things there. I really do.
for sure. I know for sure.
Yes,
Oh,
for sure.
I'm really happy that we got to do this interview, Vincent, and I'm so thankful for you coming on and being so open and honest with us. We really appreciate that. That's something that, looking through the glass, we like keeping it a safe space for everybody. And with that, I like to let our listeners know, do you have a story or something you want to talk? We leave our everything open. You can email us, get us on our socials. We have Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Our email is one two looking through thru34 theglass at gmail.com. And thank you again, Vincent. I really appreciate it. I think this episode was amazing.
Yeah, I also want to share something for you guys. It's so amazing that you, as a mother and daughter, doing this. It's so unique. I said it before. What you guys doing is really really cool, and I'm so glad that you're doing this, and also show that you can rebuild that bond again. You can really work it out
Yes.
and still connect and still have the mother and daughter connection, because you see and hear so many stories of people they just broke down and they never even consider talking with each other, or after 20, 30 years they say, well, it's been so long, let's talk about this, and then they talk about it for 1 or 2 hours and then it's over, and then I say, you wasted 20 to 30 years just to have this. Now you have a regret.
Hmm.
Now you wish you've done it
Yeah.
before. So also my respect and really my love to you guys for doing what you're doing, and don't stop. Even like I do, I don't stop, but I feel like you need to follow your heart. You need to do what's important, and you guys are doing this, and you're helping a lot of people with this. Even though you don't get a lot of views, there might be some person out there that watches it and is grateful for
Mhm.
you guys, because you showed or you told something that changed their mind or their life, or you planted a seed for maybe in the upcoming years that transforms their life. So that's the power of doing the podcast. That's why I love to do podcasts, because I like to talk about these things. But it's so powerful. The last thing that I want to say before we're gonna go off is, it's also powerful for you guys. When I started with the podcast, I didn't have any views. Nobody cared. That's what I felt. But then one day I got an email from a person, and they said, Vincent, I watched one of your videos. It was called The Self-Development Trap. And he said, I've been doing exactly the same thing. I was consuming so much information and I never took action. That's what I was talking about. And he
Yes.
said, because of you, I'm now taking action. I'm now going to change my life. And it was the biggest compliment that I got from my podcast, because I felt nobody listened, nobody cared. But once with that email, I kept on going, and I made like 60 episodes.
Well, I
So
can
you
tell
never
you, I've
know.
already got multiple people in mind for you to listen to your podcast. I've already got multiple people in mind. So,
So you never know who you will help, and that's what I wanted to share. And thank
thank
you.
you so much.
We've gotten that compliment a few times, and honestly, every time we hear it, it just it makes my heart just ecstatic.
Yeah,
It lets us
It's
know that we
amazing.
are where we're supposed to be. It definitely helps us,
exactly.
it, and that's the important thing is being where you're supposed to be in this journey and doing what you're supposed to be doing in this journey. Vincent, it has been amazing, and I can't
Absolutely,
wait to we'll keep in contact, and
for sure.
um, yeah, we'll definitely. Thank you so much.
You too, guys. Thank you so much.